Derek, welcome back to the jungle.
3, 2, 1.
This is The Jungle, an up-close, unvarnished look inside leadership and business strategy. We wade into the real-world leader's face and explore what they do to create a path forward, because that's what business is. Wild, exciting.
It's the jungle.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Derek, welcome back to the jungle. I'm in northern Michigan in a coffee shop. The jungle continues.
Yeah, we a little bit of emergency episode here for a good purpose, but I see that you're in a old school coffee shop. I like it. Looks good. They got good tea or coffee there, Doug?
They have some good coffee, some good tea. In your northern Michigan, you're away from the news, but man, a lot of news in college sports these days in the last couple of days. Holy cow.
Wow. We both work for Western Michigan University institution. We have a D1 athletic program, and holy cow, it's back and forth. Yesterday was an exciting day just to watch the news come out and the coaches come out and the players come out and, where they feel about playing, not playing. And you've watched some of the players opt out. It's amazing. It's just, the place that some of these decision makers are put in right now has got to be one of the toughest decisions they'll ever have to make.
Really, really difficult. College athletics is undergoing real pressure, like lots of industries are, and that has implications around money and reputation of schools and advertising. But at the end of the day, it has a massive impact on athletes, because for athletes, if you were a former athlete, and you and I are both former athletes, athletics gives you so much. For me, athletics was the place where you bond with people. You know what it's like to work in a team. You get excited about competition. You challenge yourself, and it gives you structure. How you proceed through your a time of transformation when you're a young adult. So this impact of canceling football here for the MAC and other conferences we might be seeing has real impacts on our student athletes.
Yeah, so canceling fall sports. So all sports. Football is the big one that everyone's talking about because it's the big fall sport. But yeah, as a former athlete, was on a scholarship for hockey. It meant everything to me at that time. When I was a young kid, it gave me so much. It taught me so much. I had wonderful coaches through my career that were like mentors to me. They always cared about who you were as a person, but also, taught you life skills. So whether you believe in the sports is good, sports is bad, college sports, you got to feel for the athletes today a little bit. They put so much time and effort into this, and it gives them the structure. And to have their season pulled away, it's going to be tough. It's not the end of the world. Our guest, which you can mention, you said, athletes learn to deal with bad calls, plays that go the wrong way, getting injured, coming back, resiliency. Sports teaches you a lot of that, those leadership and personality characteristics. So, but this is a tough one.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
So we get a lot of those great student athletes too coming through our program, our new leadership and business strategy program, LBS for short, for all those in the know. But we get a lot of great athletes from football to basketball, soccer, softball. So I know that we'll at least be excited to see them this fall. We are going to do a little something different. We're just going to let this one roll because this is a very impromptu, quickly done episode today. So we had the great pleasure of speaking with Kathy Beauregard, athletic director here at Western Michigan University. And we hope everyone enjoys the behind the scenes on the lead up to the cancellation of football, what this means for fall sports, and what the future looks like. So enjoy. The Jungle is produced by the Center for Principal Leadership and Business Strategy in Western Michigan University's Hayworth College of Business. Our center supports the Leadership and Business Strategy major, conducts large-scale consulting projects, and trains professionals in acquiring and operating small businesses. To learn more, visit wmich.edu/leadership center. All right, 3, 2, 1. Kathy Beauregard, welcome back to the jungle. This is your second visit now to the jungle. For all those listeners out there, we had Kathy on the podcast about 2 weeks ago, recorded a great episode. We spent a solid 45 minutes talking about college athletics and what's going on with Bronco Nation. And then we get the news here on Saturday around the cancellation of college football for the MAC and for Western Michigan University. And we thought we had to have you back on the episode. So we really appreciate you joining us.
I'm more than excited to be in the jungle with you two gentlemen this morning, and know that we will have a lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about today. So for all the listeners out there, I'm beaming in from northern Michigan in a great coffee shop. I think it's called Cabin Creek up here in Alpena, Michigan. So if you get a little background noise, it's I'm out there recording the podcast. Kathy, do you have a beverage with you?
I do. I have an iced tea this morning. That's my morning get up and go.
Cheers.
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 So,
am I supposed to be on the video?
Yeah, you're perfect.
Yeah,
You're perfect.
Good.
You're perfect.
So,
okay.
Where are you? Are you back in the office yet, Kathy? Or are you at home still? Well, how's life and under COVID with university?
Oh, whoa. No, not back in the office, although my office at home has become very familiar. I even my husband adds different flowers every week because we've been going around and around and around since March with this issue of intercollegiate athletics and obviously the COVID. And so I've decided in my own life, I have to start getting out more. So it's time to get back to now where we're going from here, what our next plans are, and a lot of that has to and can be done back in the office and intermingling and really being where I want to be, and that's with Broncos.
That's great. That's great. So Kathy really needs no introduction. This is your 22nd season. Is that right, as athletic director?
Well, I'd give me a quarter.
Okay.
I'd give me a quarter, but I'll take the 22, but it's really 25.
25. Okay. Longest serving athletic director in the Mid-American Conference. Your bio says one of 9 female athletic directors at the 130 football schools out there. So really a distinguished group, a great representative for Bronco Nation. Let's go into the matter of the day. No football this fall. Can you walk us through a little bit of behind the scenes of how you guys came to that decision?
Absolutely. It's the one positive is it's a decision because we literally have been working on this since March. It's been March since we were shut down with the COVID, that the university hadn't been functioning normally, and absolutely athletics had not been functioning at any level that we wanted to be. So this conversation takes place. How it works is we have the directors of intercollegiate athletics. There's 12 of us in the MAC. Having conversations at least 3 times a week, probably 3 hours a Zoom call. And then literally the same thing with the national scoping, at least once to twice a week with the nationals. And then our MAC people plus our medical team, which I will have to commend our commissioner on how he led us through this, our presidents. I think we collaboratively as administrators also influenced and wanted to have conversation from our coaches and even impact from our student athletes. So this has been a broad spectrum of I'll be honest with you, 24/7, and none of us being in very good health after going through the agony of what this final decision has been and where we got and how we got here.
How did you arrive at that decision? So we see, concerns around health and budget and players wanting to play and what's in the best interest of players and the school and advertising and just all these factors. How do you guys wade through all those considerations to arrive at the decision to cancel?
Well, first of all, there are 2 main groups of us. So there's a group of 5, which are the leagues that are at the level of competition at a higher level than we are. And then the autonomous group of 5, and then there's us. Which is the Mid-American Conference and the Sun Belt, many of those. So we were having conversations also nationally to figure out how this was going to affect people. The other part of what we do is in order for us to have an intercollegiate athletics program at our level, we generate guarantee money by playing games. That is what we do. That is why the big guys like us being around. And part of this was that each of us usually has 1 to 2 to 3 guaranteed football games a year, and that's how we fund our athletic department. So obviously becomes a financial issue here. The one thing that a lot of people don't know that I thought I'd really make clear this morning is many people believe that the NCAA can just, snap their fingers and tell us to shut down and it's over. And that is not true with football. So the NCAA actually does not run the football program. It's the college league presidents and then the college football playoff individuals. So the league presidents, Pac-10, Big 12, Big 10, those individuals, along with Jack Swarbeck as an independent, are the ones that actually are in charge of football. Now, we have to watch what we follow in NCAA rules for football, but all the money is actually not within the NCAA there. The money is actually coming from college football playoffs. So what they do for us is we get, as a league, a $15.1 million distribution that comes to the league that's distributed out to all of us. It's about $1 million. So we have that as guarantee money. As money also, season ticket sales, fundraising, but the biggest part we have are guarantees. So our Notre Dame game was close to $1.7 million that we had signed for this year. So the rest of the NCAA is run by the NCAA. So college basketball, as we know, is the cream of the crop of the NCAA world. Last year that was shut down. That was the first time in its history. So our goal is hopefully that we have an opportunity to move forward with that, because to be with that, honestly, is a lot of guarantee money for us also.
So why not play? Why you see some conferences are canceling, some conferences still seem to indicate that they're gonna play. Why not play? Why cancel?
Well, that is exactly where we were, because we were trying to figure out all of the ins and outs of that and the financial ramifications of it, because they're big. And what really ended up happening is we are also a league, as all of them around the country are, just in different ways, run by the presidents of the university. So it's my job and our job to analyze, detail, get it, financial, pros, cons, where we'll be, and make a recommendation to our institution as to where we should be. So at the beginning of this, most teams lost Big Ten schools. So that was all of a sudden, ooh, no money. And no guarantee games. Try to rework them, waiting. Ours was a little unique because we were a Notre Dame game guarantee, not a Big Ten guarantee. We had Syracuse, and we also had Cincinnati on the schedule for that. So when we didn't know how that was going to impact other leagues, we really still didn't know what was going to happen with our revenue until last Thursday, when we did get a call from Jack Swarbeck at Notre Dame, who said that Syracuse, which they were playing with for football, had decided, and he had decided it was going to be Western Michigan. So I have to tell you, and I feel horrendously guilty about this, but once you know you're potentially then going to get your money as long as you play, you kind of look at it a little differently, because it is how we fund our entire athletic department. However, on that other side, what's right morally, ethically, health, welfare, we had a tremendous medical team made up of all conference medical advisors, medical professionals, trainers, major doctors, who we were also meeting with once a week. And so then you sit there and you've got now we've got our money back, and now we've got our doctors who are telling us that the chances of us playing safely and healthy and not running into mass pandemic issues. The MAC made the decision, and it wasn't easy, I'll tell you that. There was a lot of it. Took a week or so for the presidents to have the final conversations as to when the announcement came out. Because did we need to go first? Did we have to go first? We went first in the Power Five, or in the Group of Five. But the answer to that is, can we keep them safe? And our true answer was, with all the experts and the medical experts telling us, when you go to school, you can socially distance. So we can open school, we can do that. You can play a few sports and still, distance yourself, whether it were golf or cross country. But when it comes down to those sports as football and the others, even though we were doing tremendous job. We were at practice. We had less than 5 positives. Our medical team was the best you could possibly get. The real answer to this is, where are we going to be still in September? And can we start a season without stopping the season? And how can we truly ensure their safety and well-being? And we went with that.
So can you talk from, there's a little bit of social media buzz the last couple of days about some players wanting to play and forming a group. Can you talk a little about how some of our players felt about this? Did you consult them? And, as their leader and the coaches, our coaches, how did that filter into this decision making?
Yeah, there was, we were on Zoom calls we've been on them forever, but I would say the last 3-4 weeks has totally been concentrating with our coaching staff and our administrative staff, the what ifs. So every time I leave a meeting, I would have a coaches meeting to bring them in the loop, get advice, find out where we are. And one of our last calls before we had this was exactly that. Coach Lester, I would like you to go to your team and just start talking about it. How are they feeling? We've opened up. Do they feel comfortable? Do they feel safe with the testing? Do they feel safe with, because we had to social distance on the football field, so try that as a practice and a coaching challenge. And some of the other coaches who did the same thing. So we were getting messages back very honestly that no, we're playing. And then Tim kind of says, well, do you think they're really going to tell me no? And then we kind of talked about, well, maybe sometimes the segment coaches or assistant coaches, they're more likely to talk to. So we had our coaches monitoring it, and some of our administrative staff, our trainers, our others, and asking questions. And to be honest with you, we only had one that didn't return as a choice, that didn't feel that wanted to participate in this from fall camp. And we didn't have anybody that really opted out. But to be honest with you, in my own mind, I can't think that there are some extremely upset with us and some that are like, thank you. I get the risks that I might have been taken. Obviously, we feel we've been able to keep them safe now, but how long can you do that? And then how long can we do it with all our fall sports? Because also the testing requirements were extensive, which we were very willing to pay for. If you're going to keep them safe, you got to test. The problem was, how quickly can you get back the tests? And from sport to sport, how can you manage that? And there were some concerns about the validity of how that could all be managed with our physicians and with what was coming up. You get on a road and, we were supposed to have, our first FCS game here, or we go to Notre Dame, told us one of the reasons they took us over Navy, which was not an easy decision because they played Navy 90 years in a row, but they didn't have to get on an airplane. So, there were decisions, we're an hour away. He felt it was safer and better for his athletes and staff and all of those that are involved. So,
So Kathy, when you think about, sorry to jump in there, but when you think about the players now, no football, and that sport gives them, access to this institution. That sport gives them structure, gives them purpose, gives them life lessons. How are you thinking about providing those learnings and that purpose and all the other things that come with sports? What are your thoughts on how you deal with that for at least the football players this fall?
Well, it's been in the minds. I'll be honest, we haven't moved. We have conferences for the recalls for the rest of the week to talk about what our seasons look like. How are we going to continue to practice? What number? What timeline? All of that has to come. And so many of them are waiting for answers. We were worried. One of our reasons for do we pull the plug early was, are there transfer opportunities? Are there students who are going to say, well, I can go play in this league and we're not playing in this league? However, I will be honest with you, it's up to every league, their decisions they make, and I'm not speaking on behalf of them, but I can't help but believe we're going to have trouble pulling off a whole national football schedule. So sympathetic, our coaches have been, spent time with them. I think the biggest thing I regret is the story broke before we even had a chance to get to them. and get to, that's not how I do business. I like to get to our athletes, get to our coaches. We called an emergency 5-minute meeting and said, hey, it's happened. And then we had to play catch up all day is really what we had to do. But it's our job to now figure it out. So we're hopeful that we can find some leadership opportunities for our student athletes new to get into. We believe we can do some new community service projects that would be great for us to be. Obviously, there's still going to be practicing. It's not competition, but there are areas that we are going to be able to really engage them, that a lot of things we've wanted to that we really haven't been able to. And athletes are all going to be in different positions. So they're going to be a freshman and never been here yet. We've got a senior who's a fifth-year senior who's dreamed his dream of finishing and isn't going to be able to do that right now. But what we're really looking at is hopefully a postponement till fall, looking at that as an option. So what we really need to do is get down to the work to let them totally be able to see what that's going to look like, and honestly how we are financially going to, be moving forward.
Yeah.
So some clarification there. Is this, you said postponement, people are talking about spring football. There's all kind of rumors flying around everywhere. For the MAC and for Western, is this the year is canceled, or if spring football comes around and it's safer at that time, we've figured some things out, are we participating? Is it all sports, or are we going to let some sports like golf play?
It is all fall sports that have a championship in the fall. So what you would have is, let's just say, decisions still have to come, just picking on them, hockey and basketball, because they don't have championships at the end of the fall. So we're starting with those, hopefully, being able to take our football, take our soccers, take our others, and come up with seasons in the spring that will be possible for them to, and keep them going. Now, it may not be that utilizes a year of eligibility, because the eligibility issues all have to be addressed through the NCAA until we know what's happening. However, I know the NCAA is going to go in favor of the student athlete welfare piece of the pie. So really, we are calling the fall right now, postponement, hopefully that we're able to pull something off in the spring. Now, that's not going to be playing Notre Dame, because if they're doing it, they're going to stick in their league. And there's not enough time in the spring to get the games in before the next season of fall will start. So one other piece that I'd like to mention here, that the NCAA, as I explained to you, how the NCAA and the college football playoff is different. The other thing that happened at the end of last week was the president of the NCAA issued a memo to the leagues. If they choose to play, this is how it has to look. And so in that memo, part of it basically talked about the testing, which we were fine with, because we got to keep them safe. We were going to do it, even though it's more than it would have normally been. There was no, and we're still going to have to doing some type of testing. That hasn't been declared yet, but if we let football still do their voluntary workouts, and some others will be testing. The other thing the NCAA decided that every medical expense, and a lot of people haven't talked about this, every medical expense that comes from a student athlete or a staff member receiving the COVID, our institution was paying for life. So unfortunately, if you ended up with the illness, if you ended up with heart problems, you ended up with a death, it's really, really difficult to think that you can put your university in that financial position too. So obviously the NCAA has been trying to send the message to the big guys that, we don't and shouldn't be doing this. So that was another decision that the MAC had to look at. And as far as we were not wanting to do that, but I cannot lead this athletic department into the unknown of the medical, who knows what those potential expenses would be. So the NCAA has been very aggressive at wanting to find other ways to get people to do it, and a certain kind of testing, which was more expensive, which we were on board for. But that also added to our decision.
So I this is still really fresh. The decision was only 3-4 days ago, and some of the football programs are still deciding. Do you see, what are some immediate implications that you foresee for the conferences, college football, college sports. Everyone talks about continually the dynamic landscape that it's always changing with hockey and football and some of these programs. Are you seeing anything immediately yet, or is it still too soon to start to think that far out?
No, it's never too soon we figured out it's never too soon to have like 25 plans. And to be honest, we had 25, and then we had a president's meeting, and one of them wasn't on there. So we had to come back and do some more discussion and do it. And so that's, I guess, now that the decision has been made, my heart absolutely breaks for our Broncos. I mean, today's it's not as raw as it was on Saturday, but we did this in March. We took away winter championships. We had no spring sports. They worked their tails off, believing and believing and believing that we would be playing in the fall and everyone would certainly be back to somewhat normalcy. I know I said that I felt this decision was going to impact intercollegiate athletics for years down the road. It won't be the same because the financial implications for us are just as real, with more zeros for the big group. So it certainly is a decision that not to be able to play, not to be able to be normal, not to be able to have from university, not to be able to have our students in the community, all of our community supporters, our fans and our alumni. I mean, this stings. It's really hard. And it's going to be a lot of questions on what we're doing and what we're not doing and how we're going to move forward. But I can tell you one thing, student athletes and coaches and former coaches are resilient, and we're used to break your leg, lose a game, clock went out, bad call, you know what, and we still show up there the next day that it has to be done. So I am excited to be able to finally, within a few weeks, be able to see the majority of our student athletes back on campus as we do open up campus, which is a different case than the sporting was. I mean, obviously you can social distance in a classroom versus, on a football field. But this has been extra hard because we haven't been able to work with them and see them. And I would normally be face-to-face with them, face-to-face with our coaches. So immediately we had the coaches meeting. I then sent a massive email out to all of our athletes as to how this happened and what had happened, and that we'll be in touch with doing the best we can do to make sure that they have the experience of still moving forward just without competition.
Well, we're going to be mindful of your time because I'm sure you've got a full schedule here, Kathy, of more meetings and more things to deal with. I know that our program here, the Leadership and Business Strategy program, we've had some early conversations, let's put it, with folks around around athletics, that we might have some opportunities to partner and do something great for student athletes. How about we round out here with some rapid fire questions to round out the morning? Are you ready?
I'm ready, but I also want to tell you thank you, because we couldn't be in better hands, and appreciate the opportunity to work with you.
Absolutely.
All right, I didn't pass these all the last time. So
well, they're new ones. They're new ones.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Okay, here we go. Favorite leader.
Favorite leader. I still say Condoleezza Rice.
Okay. Courage or compassion.
I'd say courage.
Speed or accuracy.
I do accurate speed.
Okay. Great ideas or great execution.
I really think the ideas are there, and then you have to figure out how to execute.
Okay. A word to describe your leadership style.
Open communication, honest. That's more than one.
That is more than one. We'll let it pass.
Okay.
Night owl or early bird?
More of a night owl lately.
Okay. Offense or defense?
Ooh, that's a big one, isn't it? I like to be on the offense.
We know that you are a former gymnastic coach. So vault or bars?
Oh, definitely vault.
And one more to round out here before we get to our favorite question. Brown or gold?
Oh, I'm Golder.
Okay. And if you had an animal, Kathy, that represented your leadership, you already have, you should have already thought about this one, but if you had an animal to represent your leadership, what's your animal?
Well, I should have already thought about it, but I think it's a smart, I think I talked about my son and daughter's-in-law's dog. It's a smart Australian Shepherd. And I'm telling you, it's a leader. It's out in front. It's goes and then figures out what it's really done.
There you go. There you go. Love it. Well, Kathy Beauregard, we totally appreciate you joining us, sharing us the news around football, all the stuff going on with athletics. We appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for what you do for the Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Thank you, Kathy. Go Broncos.